Here.
Caslin. Peterson.
Here.
Chapman.
Here.
Okay. I'm gonna stand for the pledge. It's been a minute, so bear with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Not since I've done the Pledge of Allegiance, since I've hosted a meeting. Okay. So, now I guess we don't have to do any of the other stuff. So, we've got one item on the agenda, the discussion and possible agreement with the operation of emergency medical services between the City of Mangum, Mangum Utility Authority, and the Greer County Special Ambulance District. The agreement provides that unless renewed by both parties on or before February 1st, 2024, it expires on its own terms on June 30th, 2024. The ambulance district has advised the City of Mangum and Mangum Utility Authority that it intends not to renew the interlocal agreement. Discussion. Question. Yep, go ahead. Nobody else is talking. You go right ahead.
So here's something that this was Mike, you put on based on me, confusion. No, we want to keep this in place.
Okay.
And that was one thing me and Irma talked about the other night, but she said that her employee was wondering, like, I wanted to do away. No. As you see in our financials, yes, we still need the $12 utility. Okay? Can I go ahead and get the spiel?
Yeah, go for it.
The status?
Yeah, because that'll make us, that way we have questions or whatever.
Okay, so, to kind of explain to you guys a little bit in front of us what we have going on, this is the profit and loss since July. Our fiscal year runs from July 1 to June 31st. So as of right now, this is what we're looking at. I know the numbers look very construed and very negative. However, there's been a couple of things, a couple of changes that we've made. We've tried to run 2 crews all the time, and it's hard. I mean, it's very hard on us. We tried it. We did have the extra funds to try this for a little bit. We had some success. It wasn't a full-blown fall in your face, but with the medical field, it's always up and down. Either you've got a lot of runs or you're very minute. There's not like an in-between. That being said, Michael Poe, who is our administrator at the moment, has done a great job of trying to implement different ways to help us sustain our funds. But as you guys can see over, and the next 3 pages are our monthly scenarios or synopsis of our profit and loss. So as you see, October, November, we had bigger losses because we run 2 crews. The majority of those crews, we are employing a lot more paramedics now, which require higher pay. So there's a fine line in there trying to get the personnel that we need out this way to be able to take transports that handles meds, what else? The machines,
ventilators, IV pumps, being able to recognize heart attack and stroke and take care of those appropriately without having to wait hours and causing further injury to the patient.
So there's been a little bit of a juggling act. So, October, November, you do see a big drastic change with a loss. December, you see where we've made the adjustments. We're back to 1 crew. We're trying to work on maybe an on-call status. Sorry, Mark, if I did not give you here. You have a copy of mine. I think I can read these.
I was going to say, oh, you gave 2 to Judith. That's
Oh,
fine.
Okay. I didn't give 2 to Judith. Here's the front page of it too. I'm sorry about that. So, as you see in December, there was a slight loss. Some of that was, was due to play the call volume or transports or that nature. But we're trying to mimic that month more than we are October, November timeframe. Okay. So as you see, we have a negative $139,000 loss is what it's shown. But here's kind of the status of where we're at. So starting today, we had $67,912 in our bank account. We made a deposit today of $44,000 roughly as an estimate, because our ad valorem tax money that we received. For our first payment, we received $27,464. That was our deposit that we made, so, there'll be some more ad valorem tax money that trickles in between now and April because of people paying their second half of their taxes. So we do have some extra money there. There's a couple of things I do want to point out, like you're gonna see employee expense on the front page of $4,391. What that was that we paid for a paramedic class for one individual who completed it, signed a 2-year contract with us? Or was it 1-year contract with us to stay on board. So she is currently working with us right now as we speak, so there's a little bit of a give and take. That's the reason why we did what we did. The rest of it was $400 was some shirts that we ordered for the medics, to be able to reflect us out in the community on emergency runs or wherever it may be. Outside of that, our biggest expense is payroll. There's no volunteer work. I've told you guys before, which I think there's been a lot of new councilmen on board since we came. So that's the thing that we're fighting, is that we're maintaining. Now, have we bought an ambulance? No, we have not. As you can tell, the money's tight. I don't think it's a smart move right now for us to buy that until we can find a happy medium. One thing that we are trying to do is pick up more transports from area hospitals. You're talking Hobart, Altus, Elk City. We've made some contacts with some people in Anadarko. So they are out trying to beat the paths and try to get our transports up, because that's where the majority of the money will come from. The things that we do fight with is Medicaid, Medicare. They pay roughly 40% of the run. So if we bill somebody $1,000, they receive $400. And there's not really no fight on being able to fight that, because that's the government. And kind of give you a rough estimate on our year to date. So from January to December, we billed out $1,077,154. We received $423,000. So that goes to show you, it keeps it right at that 40% mark on all of our runs, all of our billable runs. We currently have roughly another $70,000 out in accounts receivable. That's 40% of what they showed because of the 40% mark. So yes, we have some things moving around. We're in better shape than what we were. And I know this number is very construed, but we had a little bit of room to work with to try to figure something out. The other thing about the ambulances that we would like to address is a cabin chassis runs roughly about $180,000.
Brand new or?
Brand new.
Brand new is about $280,000.
So, we're fighting with that right now. There's grants out there that we're trying to get. Now, brand new from front to back is about $400,000.
Depending, on the cheapest side is about $280,000.
Okay. And are you talking, what if we replace the box with our own?
So if we replace, if we just put a new cabin chassis under the board, and then put the box on the truck, then it runs us about $180,000.
So, that's kind of where we're at. That's gonna cost you $5.
Sorry.
So that's where we're at, the status of it. We're still in good condition, good shape. I'm gonna be open with you, I am in the near future gonna step off as chairman. I've been on here for 9 years. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. But overall, I think we're pretty stable on as far as what we're maintaining right now. How many medics do we currently have?
We have 6 EMT basics, which is just a step below the highest or the lowest level you can get. We have 3 advanced EMTs, which is the next highest level, right below the paramedic. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Soon to be, we have 6 paramedics, and we're about to onboard 3 once they finish school in the next 6-7 months. So we'll have the highest number of paramedics this place has ever seen. We went from 5 employees about a year and a half ago, and that was 3 EMTs, an advanced EMT, and then myself as an advanced EMT then. And we've grown
Okay. I know, so Landon, you and I talked last summer, so after we put this into place, I, had a lot of people concerned, so I reached out to you, about the ad valorem tax from Granite. And we had missed the date, so I know we're like, okay, we'll give it another year, whatever. What's the status of that? Was it ever done? Was it ever filed for? Was it, because I know it never came up for vote. As far as getting Granite on board, because I know that was an additional $36,000 a year. That was something which I know they're still currently paying their $2,000 a month. Does that still stand?
Yes, we need to verify that for sure, because they're paying a $12 utility fee.
All of Granite is?
The $12 utility, yes, they are.
That's interesting. We were never told that. We were told they were just paying the $2,000 a month still.
Oh, no, they're paying the $12, because that was my thing, that I didn't want one town doing for one and not the other. That wasn't, now Willow, we have approached them, they have not voted on it. They tabled it, they haven't revisited it. There's a little bit to gain from Willow, not as much.
Right.
A couple of other things that we have also entertained that we need to work on is to get the people in the country area.
Well, yeah, and that was my next question. So I know the biggest thing that I have been asked is Granite, are they getting ad valorem tax from Granite? So that's a no.
Not at this moment, no. They've been paying us for that point.
Right, but I mean, you get, what is it, $47,000 for ad valorem from Mangum?
Roughly.
And then we're paying the $12 a month utility for everybody on water. So then you have Granite that's paying their 12, but you're not collecting ad valorem from them. Was it just never done?
We did,
That process was never started?
Last year. I have reached out.
You've never
two
gotten ad
different
valorem
times.
from Granite?
We did before. We did a year ago. We did. Because we approached them about the ad valorem tax, that we were getting it from Mangum, but not from Granite. So we were receiving that, but we have not received it this year, no. One other thing that me and you have discussed is taking the whole county under the ad valorem tax, because all the school districts, there's Duke, Blair.
Well, and I
Eric
guess that's
Center.
why it is confusing, and that's another thing where people have a lot of questions. So it's Greer County EMS, but Greer County doesn't own the EMS. You guys are your own entity, right? If I understand that correctly, ish.
Very ish. We're not part of the county, but we're part of the county.
And I think that's where people are having so many questions and concerns about continuing to pay the $12 a month, because it's like, well, they run for Greer County, they run for Granite, they run for Mangum. Mangum's paying the fee. I was unaware of Granite ever paying the fee, and I've never known Granite's ad valorem tax to come in, because I thought once it's voted in, it's voted, right? So it should be paid to you guys every year, once it's voted, because that's not something that gets brought up for vote every year unless the paperwork's filed.
Well, and like the city, I need to reach out to them.
That's what I'm saying. You guys were getting $2,000 a month from the contract that we had before and the meetings we had
So we were
before.
getting 24,000.
Right, but that wasn't ad valorem tax. That was the city paying.
Paying
to-
based on their millage that we would receive if.
But the ad valorem tax for Granite, I believe when we looked, it was it would be 38,000. When Corey is it Corey? Is that Corey?
Corey Thomas?
The
Yes.
original guy who
Mhm.
was fronting for all this. And so that's been everybody's complaint. They're like, well, they're still running for county, but they're not collecting from county. It's Greer County EMS, but the county, it still isn't supplying anything. So they feel like it's Mangum fronting the cost, the city fronting the cost for the county. Once again, it's like, it's just a revolving door. So I know that there's a lot of people upset about that as far as, and I know that they don't get the same, I guess, almost stipend like we would get. If they do get a call out, they're gonna be billed and they'll have to pay the difference in fees. But I know that's a huge concern I've had several people that are like, why are we paying this when Greer County doesn't pay a dime? I don't have an answer for that. I mean,
A
it's,
lot of people think y'all are funded by the county.
And I think that's the misconception too, is it's Greer County EMS, and that's just because you guys service Greer County area. I get that, but
So that's been the biggest deal in the whole thing in the 9 years. You can't ever get a straight answer of who we under.
Who are you under?
Because we're not.
And I think that's where people's concern, it's like, okay, well, we're paying all this money, but that doesn't, yeah, we have a contract, but where's the guarantee that this is gonna hold up when you guys are your own entity, we're paying you, and we're going, yeah, we'll give you guys $12 a month from every utility bill, but then your county can't hold you accountable, the city's not really gonna be able to, so who's in charge of that?
Well, the state, the state does hold us accountable. We go through audits, there is a delay right now. We're about a year behind on a 2-year audit.
I was gonna say, cause
And
that's what we were
everywhere.
talking about.
Yes,
Yeah, it's
we
all- 'cause
emailed
I-
ours and everyone is behind, and I think Mr. Kendall also is with his other cities, everybody is behind.
Yeah,
We've
'cause
kept in
I was
contact
kinda
with ours.
worried, like, hey, what's, so I asked Corey Armstrong, our auditor, and I know everything's good, it's been sitting in, they're just way behind. So, but, yeah, as far as, now, to answer your question, it's a gray area, it really is. It's a very, very, very gray area. We're a 522 district, a county 522 district, but we're not overseen by the county. We have our own EIN number, we're our own entity, I
Yeah.
guess. But then yet we have to operate off kind of like a county entity. There's the state audits that go on, how we file everything, when the PPP stuff was going on, we couldn't get any money for that. We finally did, with SWOTA's help, through the county, we did get some money back from that, and that's what helped us,
Well, yeah, cause when I called you, that's what you kinda said, it had wiped the slate clean, basically,
Yes.
where you guys could start fresh, mostly, I think, all but like $8,000 or something to that effect.
But other than that, everything else has been squared up. This thing doesn't cash flow 100% on itself now. It won't. I wish it would. I wish we had the volume. Well, we had around 1,000 total now.
1,046 calls last year, which is the highest one we've had ever in the 30 years of construction.
You had how many?
1,046 runs.
The whole year?
Yes, ma'am.
From January to December, not fiscal, but the. So and that goes back to him, to Michael. Did a great job, has done a great job. We tried different things, avenues and ways of thinking, trying to make it better, and it's hard. And you look and you research, and I brought this up a couple of years ago, but like, rural EMS is going away. It's dwindling out. It's not just Southwest Oklahoma, it's South Dakota, North Dakota, because there's not the grants out there like for your fire department that you have. There's a lot more grants and ways for them to get money because they're essential. We're still considered non-essential for the ambulance service.
Which I think that's why so many counties, like Elk City, Altus, all the surrounding areas, that's why their fire department, their EMS are one and the same. They're cross-training both departments, and I think part of it's for being able to get more grants through the fire department to help fund the EMS, but that's how, Elk City, all their fire guys, they have to be able to drive an ambulance. Some of them are paramedics and firefighters. Altus has gone that way, and that's probably why, aside from the ones that just contract out, so.
I think, there's been some other counties local that have struggled, and it's been tough.
Yeah, so the biggest, you can't compare Mangum to Altus or Elk City, the populace are much more.
Well, yeah.
And I don't, so when you're rolling in there to try to join up into a fire department, the fire department may not want to be on the medical side. And if you force them to do that, then you're gonna lose guys that wanna fight fires. I'll be honest with you, I'm a caveman, fire bad, okay? I don't wanna be part of the fire department, unless I like my beard, so I have to cut it off. But
Well, that was my next question. Is that something that's ever been discussed about having the fire department and EMS, like,
Yeah,
combined?
we discussed that in 2020? I think it was 2020.
And we did it pretty recent, I think.
And basically, the fire department's like, yeah, if you make us do that, we'll all quit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
any other,
that's,
It might have been 2019.
The caveat to that is,
like being a fire, like, if you're gonna be multi-role as a firefighter, then the pay has to increase with it. So, for example, firefighter paramedic in Lawton makes, like $17 an hour. And that's really poor, especially as a paramedic. You can administer life-saving medications, you can perform a surgical intervention to make somebody breathe, you can administer pain medication. functioning as a low-level doctor in the back of an ambulance, and you're making less than the guy that's making your french fries, and people aren't gonna do that. Like, there's a reason why EMS, like, providers are leaving this to go into nursing, because you can go take orders and make $30 an hour and be comfortable living, not have to work 2 full-time jobs. So transferring over to the fire department, naturally, you're gonna have to make less money because of your union and everything else that falls under that line, and then be expected to still overperform. They're not gonna go for that, quite simply. You'd have to match what the national average is for paramedicine on that scale. And even as an EMT national average now is $17 an hour. And you can't afford that. The city can't afford that. No, we can't. Right now, to function with one paramedic for 8,763 hours out of the year, not including overtime and all that good stuff, is right around $225,000 for one paramedic. And then one EMT is $125,000. So right there, to run one crew is roughly $375,000 for just one crew. So, I mean, you can't argue with the numbers. You have to have the money to be able to make the calls make sense. And if you're taking long trips, if you're going over your normal projected run numbers, like I said, last year we ran 1,046. The closest year we had before that was 720 something or 730 something. So I mean, in the span of 1 year, we did more than 30 years worth of stuff. And I know now here's the question of, well, you have more runs, where's the income at? Well, you have increased on, hey, we have to have 2 crews now because our transport times are at minimum 20 minutes. If you're going from here to Jackson County, longer if you're going to Elk City over, because some patients don't want to go to Mangum. So now we have to have a backup crew to be able to cover those that are in town because we still have an obligation to those that are paying their $12. And we want to do the most amount of good for the most amount of people. And on top of that, still trying to take city trips because those are what makes us our money. But now you have to worry about breakdown on the vehicles. From here to OU is 183 point something miles. And so, for example, I took over and our blue truck was our transfer truck 110, and it had 82,000 miles on it. It's got 140,000 on it right now in the span of 1 year. So, I mean, right there, the wear and tear on the vehicle is crazy. And the maintenance on these vehicles is, again, even more ignorant because they're a high necessity vehicle. So we do everything we can to mitigate our costs, but we have to be able to have support. And like we just agreed on, we don't belong to anybody, and that makes it really hard for us to get funded, even grant wise, because we don't fall into a specific category. So.
Do you
We're
know?
also looking into the employee retention credit. We have a guy working on that.
Corey was also gonna go and talk, because now that they've opened the prison back up in Granite, to try to get a contract to do all their runs. Did that ever happen?
We don't have a contract, but we are the first call when that way we do receive that. We do have a good relationship with them. They have a little advisory board for the county. It's got like the sheriff's department, Granite Police Department. We usually get in. We both missed it this year, but I've stayed in contact with the deputy warden over there because she's got kids that come to me. So, but no, we're the first call. And that's a couple other things. Like I said, Hobart, with Elk City, we're usually their second call on transports, because Hobart's kind of the same way. They did a contract through Signer. They still have a county board, a 522 board that oversees the funds that they get from ad valorem, and there's some kind of agreement, from what I understand, between the board and Signer. But then you're also still paying on top of that, bukus the money for that contract. I do know that, because I know when, like Corey was talking about, like in 2020, we were talking to you guys, we were talking to Granite, trying to figure out, like, for one, what's the best way for everybody to go? I mean, because if this is not it, then I'll be the first to admit it. But right now, I don't see a fix unless each town takes on their own firefighters and medics. Just like you say, and I know some of the ones down at Altus, it's been a little touch and go, and I think they're fine, I'm not saying anything bad.
Well, I don't think any of them love the idea, but
Yeah, because usually if you get into it, either you love the medic side or you love the firefighter.
yeah, and I, as far as I understand, after I talked to Brandon a little bit about it or whatever, because he's been there for a long time, and he just drives the EMS truck if they need him to, that's all. He's like, I'm not going to be a paramedic, I gotta be a driver. And so he was like, that's, I didn't love it, but it's fine. So,
And the other thing is call volume, I mean, for us, it'd be nice if we had another 1,000 runs on top of that, I mean, we'd be rocking and rolling.
2,000 runs a year would be, well, again, if call volume goes up, you have to have, at that point, we'd have to have 2 plus a third truck on call, because there's no way that we'd be able to run 2,000 calls with one crew. It's not feasible.
And that's the other thing, some of the ambulances, we spent $40,000 since July on our heading. We're in good shape now, but in September, at one time, we had knock on wood, one of them broke down at one point in time. I mean, it was like, we get one fixed, one break down, get that one fixed, the other one break down. So that's where you see that expense at. And so then you think, like, well, why don't you just go buy a new one? Well, a grant for the OSERA grant, usually you have to pay anywhere from 10 to 20% to get approved for the grant. Typically, just like you said, if we do one for 280,000, let's say 180,000, that's roughly, what is that? $40,000, I mean, that would cover that. But the problem is the way the timing comes around, plus then they go find the ambulance, you're about a year and a half out, if not 2 years out from getting that said ambulance. Same goes for the 280 again. So you gotta have money to put down on it. The thing that worries me is when you literally take that amount of money and say, okay, here's $40,000, and it's out the door that day, but you don't get that new ambulance until, like I said, a year down the road. So, it's some give and take. I've learned a lot more than I thought I'd learn. I do want to commend our medics though, and they've stuck it out, they worked hard to get where we're at, we've adjusted, like I said. We tried it with the 2 crews. Trying to kind of do an on-call deal. We don't have a whole lot of local medics though to offset the on-call. Where we have 5 to 6 right now, and even all of them, except for maybe one, has a second job. They work for us 2 days a week, and then they go to Alphas, or they go to Lot, or something like that, or something like that. So it's hard to kind of juggle that around a little bit and make it work. Again, saying all that, I feel pretty good about where we're at today. And we got some more money to come in. Our transports are starting to go back up again. We picked up a few more medics to help that out. So if we can get back in the transport game, that's what we're shooting for. I mean, because you're averaging anywhere from $2,500 to $3,000 a run on that. And usually, they've got insurance, that's a 100% pay.
I know last year we had a problem with the customers in Mangum that questioned why they had the $12 fee, and they were still getting bills in the mail from the I guess, I don't know who takes care of that side of it, but there's been a lot of questions that we have to answer that we don't have the answers to, and it was messy back then, and it's still messy today. And I'm going to ask that if we do approve this agreement, that the City of Mangum administration side gets $2 of this $12 fee. We take care of the billing, we process the billing, we answer the calls, we dispatch, everything else, where I feel like we need to open a fund or have a fund or create a fund through our audit or whatever we have to do to put this $2 fee out of this $12 moving forward. Because we do go through a lot.
Yeah.
Our girls go through a lot, and we also are shorthanded. We're shorthanded as well. So when we have one up there, some of us have to go. We have people coming in, connecting utilities. I mean, at lunch today, we had 3. We had 3 connects at lunch. In an
Yeah.
hour, we had 3. Those are questions. Where's this $12 fee from? Why do we have to do it? I have this, we have that. Why, and that's just so time consuming.
Yeah.
And we're preparing everything in the background, getting everything ready for Greer County.
Well, and I think
It-
that's the frustration, so, and it has nothing, we commend you guys, I think you guys are doing a great job. The frustration comes where, so we pay the dispatchers. They're being used as jailers at the county. They're dispatching for EMS, they're sending out those people, and that's why I'm frustrated about not the fact that the ad valorem tax in Granite wasn't filed for. Mangum's paying ad valorem and we're paying the $12 a month, so we're paying double. Granite should be doing the same. They're not supplying anything, they're not doing the billing, they don't have dispatch, they're not having any of the overhead. They're paying less than we are, they have less citizens, their ad valorem tax is gonna be less. $38,000 a year has gotta be somebody's salary, right? I mean,
So, is the E911 board not gonna take over the dispatchers at some point
no.
for the county?
We pay $198 a month for the 911 dispatch use. So, I mean, there's that. And the caveat
For the
to that
911
is
dispatch use.
I understand, like, okay, if somebody's coming up with questions, they're you're more than welcome. I'll leave my number at the desk, hey, or refer to this guy, and I'll explain to them. And I completely understand the frustration of, having to do a little bit more work and step into a role that was really never meant to be on y'all. But I also stand the frustration of when you're doing CPR on somebody and then you can't get them back and you have to tell their family members that they're dead on scene. I understand the frustration of being woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning because a 2-month-old is not conscious, not breathing, and you have to go and then you have to deal with that mental burden. So I completely understand the frustration. However, I don't think that if they want to lose an ambulance service or they want to pay out of pocket for a service that may only be here for a year and make a great deal up front, just like Steiner is, and then now they're gonna sit there and be stepping out of that role, and now that community's gonna have to pay more money for an ambulance service, then fair enough. They can handle that different frustration from that aspect. But this service has been here serving this community for a very long time, longer than I've been on this earth. Actually, 2 years longer than I was even thought of. And we've served faithfully for this community, and I don't want to go anywhere anytime soon. The $12 is helping, but it's not.
But
it's not
before
enough.
we started this $12 fee, we still had the service, right? Because you said we've had it since before you were born.
Right.
So $2 is gonna make it to where we don't?
But it was volunteer, let me tell you. They had
Yeah.
3 full-time medics out of the 10 or 12 we had on the roster.
But 12 isn't even.
And now we're 15 paid. You will not find somebody volunteer. Hey, I took the class, the first responder class, just to see what they have to go through. We met for 3 months, and that was a shortened version of the class. For a first responder, just to sit behind the wheel and drive, that's basically putting first aid on somebody. So for these guys to be paramedics, they have to go to 2 or 3 year course to even get that done. So that's what we're fighting with. If we go back down, here's the other thing. If we lose a lot of our paramedics, when we go back down, the transport's out the door. We won't get them. There's too many that have meds. We'll get some from time to time, but it's gonna be very minute to take a grandmother who, she don't have no meds hanging, or whatever it may be, they don't have no meds hanging, but it's going to, and I get what you're saying, I do. The problem is, and it's just like when, Ronnie was on here, because I don't think you're asking for enough, and he's right, we're not asking for more, we should ask for more than $12. We really should. Right, Earl?
Yes.
I told Poe it's not a good time to ask for more money. I don't think that's, because I know, working at the bank.
I was gonna say, I'm sure that
Everybody-
you hear the same frustrations that the rest of
Yes,
us
yeah,
hear. I
yeah,
mean,
I mean,
it's,
it's-
and that's why I think
everything's
it's good to, and I know that we involved the public the last time. We didn't have the turnout that we should have had. But it almost makes me wonder if we should have a public hearing again. To see what they think, so you guys can answer their questions, so you can say, listen, this is what's going on. It's not I have the utmost respect for what y'all do. I mean, y'all save lives every day. It's not even, this is for us, it's business. It is, and it's money, and it's the city, and we've had a lot of things come to light lately where the city's constantly responsible for bailing things out that we shouldn't be in charge of. And I'm not saying that's necessarily the situation with y'all, I'm just saying, like, my biggest issue is that the fact that it just fell to the wayside, that Granite never got, cause there was plenty of time. When I talked to him, we missed the deadline when we first initially put it in for the ad valorem tax, and then we've had a full another year where it could have been in vote. That's a lot of money in your guys' pocket. It's not everything, it's not gonna fix it, but 38,000 is a lot of money for that, right? I mean, if you're struggling, it does something, and it wasn't done. That's frustrating, and I get it, you guys have been through, you're fixing to be on your third administrator, right? Am I understanding that? Cause you're fixing to leave?
Yes, ma'am.
So, it's hard, I'm sure, when it's bouncing from administrator to, but then at the same time, that's when we get the frustrated people that come and they're frustrated, they don't wanna pay it anymore. I don't need an ambulance, I have Medicare, I have Medicaid, they're only gonna pay them $400 regardless if I pay that or not. That's been another huge thing. We are unfortunately in a community full of elderly people. Most of them are on Medicare or Medicaid, and they pay I think he said $483 is with the payout or something like that. So they're like, why are we paying the $12 a month if our insurance is gonna only pay that anyways? So it's just, we have to take those things into consideration also. I don't know.
And that's the only.
And I know the contract is out on the 1st. I don't know if there's a way.
Medicare or Medicaid coverage does not guarantee the family's gonna be here to come pick them up, like a
Yeah,
$12.
the $12 goes away.
Correct, I'm not yeah, but they don't get
They
that,
don't
that's
get
what
that.
I'm saying,
They don't
and
get
I
that.
think, I don't know, I mean, I would be hopeful that maybe if we did another public hearing, now that people are frustrated, because they have paid this for a year and they have all these questions, maybe we would have a better turnout for people to be able to go, okay, I wanna know why I'm paying this and what the benefit is, versus, y'all have seen the power plant situation on Facebook.
Yes.
Every single month that it has been ixnayed for months.
Yes.
Every month, when we have a bad weather day, we hear about it.
Mhm.
I just think that, I don't know if it's it's just the lack of knowing or what that's causing the biggest concern, but it has been brought up significantly. Here, Mark's had it brought to his attention, you hear it, I'm sure, at the bank. I don't know.
I just don't know that, I mean.
How would the county go about getting the
1,000
county?
runs, though, for that many, I mean, I know paramedics and I know all that, but I just don't think it equals out. I mean,
What do you
You
mean?
mean
the
the amount of
runs
staff
is
that they
this
have?
here, but we've got employees at this rate, you know, I just,
Yeah,
I mean-
That's across the board, so we pay $4 less than the entire state does as far as our employees go, because we can't afford to pay what everybody else pays. So would you work for $4 an hour less
And how-
to work the same amount of calls, or have health insurance, have all these other things? Would you rather make $24 an hour than 20? And that's at paramedic level. So the people that come out here are doing it because they love the EMS, they love the patient care aspect of it, they understand that that the community is in need of a service, so they come out here and they do it honestly out of the goodness of their hearts. But at the same time, they have to have it make financial sense to them, because I drive an hour and a half to come out here to work, and it doesn't make sense to me to come out for $15 an hour as a paramedic. Again, that's what we were paying paramedics beforehand. You can go, I could have went and worked at Target for 20 an hour, you know? So we have to be able to offset to get the quality out here, because if you wanna pay for less, then you're gonna get less. And I refuse to give this community anything less than great. And that's the unfortunate thing we have to do, is we have to pay more in order to keep the quality.
I know we talked about this when we were going through all the town stuff. I mean, even Edmonds got a $3 fee in place. I mean, they got thousands upon thousands of people. So, I mean, even for them, there's a $3. You gotta really think about that. That's it.
and I know Elk City does too.
Yeah, I think
I
there's
don't
a-
remember what it is.
I think it's
but
like $2 or $3 that they.
I think $12 is kinda expensive, I think, but.
And how would you go about getting the county, because that was the thing, I reached out to Harmon Electric and stuff to see if they would be willing to bill the people on Harmon Electric, because that's almost everybody who lives in the county here, that's who they have is Harmon typically. And so I even talked to them and they're like, nope, won't touch it. So I mean, what would be, how are you gonna get the county people on board? How are you gonna get them to pay it?
Membership drive. I mean, mean, you can't make them pay it, but you can do membership card, and offer them that, because they pay $144 a year, and if they got picked up, they're gonna save double that. I mean, you're gonna triple, 10 times that, if they just pay that, compared to them having to pay out of pocket for whatever your insurance might pay. And that's the other issue, is we also run into, is the $12 is the safety net for the whole county. I mean, let's boil it down to that, add service. Because not everybody's gonna pay that extra. If we bill you $1,000, not everybody's gonna come in here every month, even if we took monthly payment, and pay their $600 out. Like, peace, we'll see you guys later, y'all, I mean, cause we have to just write it off. We can't put it on their real estate, we can't charge it back to them, we can't do any
Yeah, not
of
with
that.
medical.
So then we're out the money again. I mean, I understand. I pay my $12, probably I'd pay more if I could, just to have an ambulance. Whether it's at, I mean, just like this year at the football game, we played 4 football games this year when the ambulance was called. 2 of them are here, and there's a couple at some other games. Guys, we don't have that here. I mean, I guess somebody's gonna have to supply it.
Well, then I hear citizens say, well, if you go out to Mangum Hospital, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna Metaflight you, so why, you know, I get that frustrated people, you know, saying, you know,
And that goes back to the transports. If we don't have the paramedics, we definitely can't take somebody's got meds. And that's where a lot of the Metaflight was coming. We've taken more out of here probably recently, but before 2020, I'll put money on it. We did, because we didn't have the medics. There's no way we had 6 people at the time. And
There's some stuff that you don't want to be taken by ground for. Heart attacks, strokes, extreme GI bleeds. Like I said, it's a 2.5, almost 3 hour transport one way. And for stroke protocol, you have a 4-hour window to get PPA or to get that bleed to stop. So, I mean, those extreme cases like that, which are actually really common in older populace, you want to be flown out. That's just a better option. I can't sit there and pull blood out of a cabinet because we don't have protocols for that. But a vast majority of stuff that can go by ground, we do ship out from ground.
And I mean, if he gave me that advice from one of my family members during the summer, she was having a stroke. And he's like, no, you need to fly her out. Like, get her out of here because of the stroke symptoms. And she's fine. I mean, they're fine with all that. But I mean, just like that, he tell me just like with anybody else, like, yeah, you need to fly her out. That's one thing I appreciate about them is they're gonna tell you what we need to do, not, oh yeah, we can make $3,000 work. That's not what it's about. So. Now, I do get where you guys are coming from. And I understand. The gray hair, I don't have anything to do with it.
I just cover mine.
well, mine needs to cover.
We just want to be able to continue providing outstanding services. That's my number one thing, being able to provide the highest level of care that I possibly can for the people here. That's all I care about.
And this has to be voted on.
Well, the contract ends on the 1st.
And we have, technically terminates June 30th. It's just February 1st is the deadline to renew, basically.
So if we don't renew it by then, it's just done at that point? It doesn't
By
continue
June
through
30th.
by June, or it's just saying that we're not?
How it's written is to give basically 90-day notice, saying, hey, we're not gonna move forward with this after June 30th. That's really what it is. It's like a built-in 90-day notice.
But it'll continue, so say if today, like say if we decide we do wanna do a public hearing, and we wanna do that, and we can't get it together before the 1st, they still will be paid out, and if we so choose to do it, it can go on the agenda, and we will
Yeah.
just re-vote in the contract, right?
Just if you don't do it by June 30th.
Right.
Because, you know, they
Well, I mean,
have-
I would be looking at trying to get it even done if we could, you know, I know the first is coming and we have other meetings all over.
And the reason why February first is, there's a reason behind that, is because, you know, people have to usually submit their budget by middle of June.
Right,
You know?
yeah.
And so that gives, is this money gonna be in the budget or not, type stuff. And that's why we really need to decide sooner than later, so whenever they do their next year fiscal budget, they know how much money they're gonna have in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 'cause we can guesstimate.
So if we put out that we're gonna do another public hearing and we invite the public to come out and ask their questions, you guys would be fine coming out and speaking to them and answering any questions they have or concerns that they have over the money they're spending?
100%. You can put my number on the billboard for it. I'll answer those questions anytime today.
What are your thoughts? I mean, I think we should involve the public person, or
I
at least
really-
try to. I mean, if they don't show up, then we will make the decision, and then going forward, we just know that that's just what it's gonna be, but
I think we need to have a public meeting too, just.
only because so many people have had concerns with it.
Maybe with the second public hearing, more people would be aware.
And
of
I mean,
it.
we had like, I was shocked, but you know, it's the same 30 people that
Yeah,
show
I
up
know.
to
I
everything,
know.
so
There's
maybe.
like 30, 40 people showed
30,
up.
40 people, I mean, and, you know,
There wasn't many.
not as many as there should be, but I'm just curious with now that the concerns are popping up and people are having all these questions, if it wouldn't be beneficial. At least we can say, you know, we put it out there, we're including them, letting
Well,
them bounce their concerns off of us and you guys and.
Yeah, February first is actually the 2-year anniversary of this agreement.
Right.
So it's been in place. And I know it hadn't, because of how the government process and interlocal agreement goes, I don't think it actually went into effect until later in 2022, but it's basically been in place. It's been discussed since 2021.
Yeah, because we started
Implement-
it all in January in 2021, because that was before I came on, and then I got voted on in April, and I don't think you guys got your first payment till like May or something.
Yeah, it was May, I think, when the
Mhm.
secretary, the Attorney General's office approved the interlocal.
Right, yeah.
And Granny had paid us 3 months prior to that. We don't have a minimum.
You don't have a contract with them for the $12 a month, they just pay it?
Just pay it.
Interesting, okay. Do you by chance, Michelle, know when all that comes up for vote for the ad valorem and all that stuff? When does that have to be submitted or anything?
I've been told twice, and I called this last summer, and like in July, it needs to be put out there, be put on the ballot by November.
That sounds about right. I don't really know my
But then
county
how to go
elections.
about it, how to do it, I don't know the wording, I don't know.
I think-
That's the thing.
Yeah, I'm sure Deb at the election board office could probably tell you all that stuff.
I was gonna say Debbie Davis, and then
Yeah.
Missy
Is-
Berry might be, I mean, she knows,
Yeah.
she's really in tune with all the, as far as the educational side, she may know, I mean, and she's all about anything to help protect the school and things like that. They have sports injuries all the time over there that you guys have to do runs and stuff on, so I can't imagine that they wouldn't vote to have the ad valorem tax from Granite. But it's at least more, you know, it's at least more funding for you guys, it's something, so. Okay, well, I guess if we're done discussing, we can. So Corey, do we need to table it to put up for a public,
Yeah.
okay,
We would still continue to bill the $12
Yeah.
until we figure something out,
Right.
whether this is signed or not.
Yeah.
So don't think we're going to stop
No.
if we don't sign.
Yeah,
it.
it's still gonna
I just
continue.
knew it was, I was worried about the February first.
Right, and we'll continue to bill the $12 until we come up with motion for something.
Yes,
So
I would
I'm not going
say,
to stop that.
I would say to be fair to y'all, I would say by May, we need to have this bill knocked out. Either one way or the other, you guys say, hey, we voted down, we're not gonna do it, so that way it gives y'all time, plus us time, cause it won't work without the $12, there's no way. You know, so, and that, I'm just being open with you guys.
yeah.
So you definitely have to be looking for plan B, or what you're gonna do for ambulances. I mean, and then we'd have to notify Granny as well. So, that's, I've said, I look at the numbers all the time, I really, we see through this, and we need some new people in here with new thoughts, and it's been a long 9 years, and I've enjoyed it, and that's the thing, I guess, that you guys can see, this is important to me. I mean, y'all got families too.
Yeah.
We all got families, so we've got to figure out a way, to either keep this going or help the towns out. And what are we gonna do if we
Well, and
I mean, the ambulance is a vital part of Mangum.
It is.
It is a
Well,
very
yeah, for the
vital part.
hospital and for everything.
Yes, nursing home.
Yeah.
yes, and there's.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you guys probably spend 90% of your time, I see y'all at the nursing home all the time. All the time. So, okay, I mean, I can make the motion, should I?
Motion to table,
Okay, so we'll make a motion to table and we will set up a public hearing. We'll shoot for February to get a public hearing for sure done by then, and that way we can have something to tell them by then.
Do
Okay.
we have to post in the paper for a certain amount of time to have a public hearing? Do you know how many times or how many days?
I'd
Come on,
say
Corey.
probably the end of February would be great, like Monday, because how high school's not playing no more than that.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking fall schedules, so that way we can, and I don't know if we wanna, last time we did it in the high school auditorium.
Sounds hot.
I was gonna say, I think it was during the summer, during fall.
Oh, it
fall
was,
season.
it was hot as hot gets, but, I don't know if we wanna try to do it there or here, or if we, maybe the gym even, something, I don't know, but that way there's plenty of room for people, so we're not crammed in like sardines. And I don't mind reaching out to Travis and seeing if we can use it, and when a day that it's open in evening, he doesn't mind that we use the auditorium again to have it. So we'll shoot for mid to late February to have it, and we'll see who shows up, and if they don't, then we'll make our decision and go. I think we at least owe them that, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.